Thank you very much for your presentation. We have a few questions. What is the status of these various plans? You've given us very helpfully, thank you, a copy of some of the plans. You've mentioned an Akwa Ibom State Strategic Framework for Economic Transformation, which is not one of the ones here. And then the Akwa Ibom Rural Development Master Plan, which is this one, still seems to me to be a draft. Am I correct? Has it been officially approved?
It has been approved by the governor. It's remaining the printing.
Okay.
I have a few questions, but it's just to give insight into some of the things you've mentioned. One, I want a better understanding of what you meant by new industries, establishment of 31 new industries. One, I want to assume you are thinking of in each of the local governments, but I want a better understanding of what you meant by that and what will be the basis of establishing these industries. Then the IGR, I'm sorry, with all due respect, the way you mentioned it is like you are very confident at the level you are in now. Has there been any evaluation of what monthly performance or what IGR you should be doing to really ensure that implementation will not be a problem for this long-term plan? Then finally, I want you to talk a little bit more about what is the strategic plan, or what do you intend, or how do you intend to actually implement this? You mentioned something about it, but I want further clarification on what the strategic plan of the state is in making sure that this long-term plan is achieved. Thank you.
The industry that I mentioned that will be established in all the 31 local governments is the cottage industry. And that will be established based on the need and mostly the comparative advantage of that particular community, the raw materials that are available in that community. The question about the IGR, I'm quite sure what I'm doing because I'm a member of the board of IGR in my state. It's just that I didn't come with the monthly achievements. And presently, they just started that automation a few months ago, and it's not all the tax base that has been brought into the automation. It's just few. Currently, we are not really taxing property in the state, and the government is planning for that and other areas that have not been taxed. So I believe it is going to really boost the IGR in the state, which will also contribute to the implementation of this 30-year-old plan.
I really want you to dwell on it, is that where you are now, the 2 billion, do you feel comfortable that it will support this? Or
not at all.
Yes, that is what.
Not at all. I'm just giving you the clue of how the thing has jumped up. And that we are believing that it will jump more, even quadruple, or the sky will be the limit by the time we bring everybody into the tax net and we automate every tax basis. The strategy of implementing the long-term plan, the first will be the legal backing. Without legal backing, the plan will be abandoned by successive administration. So as we are producing the plan, we are going to ensure that it has legal backing. Not just legal backing that cannot bite. If it cannot bite, people will still abandon it. So we'll work with the State House of Assembly and ensure that the legal backing will have the teeth to bite, so that each successive administration that will come in will abide by the plan. And also, since this plan is in our state, the plan documents are normally prepared by the civil servants and supported by the politicians. So we are always on ground. We have 35 years to work, and we have the junior people that work with us in succession. So anytime a new administration will come in, it's the civil servant that will present the plan that was on ground to the people, and the people will buy in and start implementing. And each of this long-term plan, each year when we'll be doing budgets and other annual plan, we will derive, it will shop from the long-term plan to implement. And we hope to, maybe after a period of 5 or 6 years, we'll review how far we've achieved based on the long-term plan. And that will help us to go further in the plan. And before that 30 years, the state will really be developed because we'll have a focus, one plan to drive it. All the governor will come in, irrespective of the party, will have the focus to shop from that plan, and it will also curtail or eliminate the process of project abandonment in the state, because you must make sure that you complete this plan that was stated by this one before you now go up to the new plan.
I think you actually set it out in your presentation, Madam. I saw it. I saw it there, so thank you.
Okay, I have 3 questions. 2 of them are sort of related. My first question is on the constraints that you identified. A lot of the constraints, which are almost all the constraints except one, was all federal government. So it gives the impression that you are either unwilling to identify the constraints that are based on the state, or you're ignoring it. So I want to know what are the... Exactly. So I want, and then the constraint you did talk about was a land constraint, which is a major one, because if you're planning to build industries and all the things that you plan, and you recognize that land could be a problem, but the only solution that you have is hopefully the the state government will pass a law that will say people should build high rises. I'm not sure whether you're taking that constraint as seriously as you should, and now that we've brought it to your attention, could you talk a little bit more about that? Then the second thing for me is a prioritization. There's a lot of things you want to do, from deep sea ports to aviation to agriculture to everything. Can you prioritize this? Because this is a 30-year plan, but I didn't see how what you were going to do in the first 5 years, in the next 10 years, because it does seem like a lot of stuff, and if you don't prioritize, nothing might end up being done. And then finally, my last question is about actually monitoring and evaluating the plan. What is the process you're going to be putting in place to actually ensure that once it's passed into law, I know you talked about the law having a bite, but there has to be a process for ensuring that every ministry, is going by, is actually implementing the plan.
Thank you so much for your question. In terms of constraints, well, in my state, we don't really have, apart from this land issue, we don't really have a very serious constraint in the state. Even with this land issue, what my governor normally does is that if they want to establish a cottage industry there, they will now acquire enough land for them to build. Then they will now pay compensation to the people that were living in that area to relocate. Then from there, they will establish it. Other challenges that we have in the state, as I said, we don't really have much challenges. It's just that at times, if my government is always very willing to pay counterpart funding, but resources are limited. So at times, if the oil prices is low and the allocation is small, it may delay a little in future. In terms of monitoring, the man in charge of monitoring will speak before I will say something.
Thank you very much. As the State Director of Monitoring Evaluation, currently we monitor and produce report quarterly, both state project and donor agency project. So this one will not be a challenge. By that time, we would develop the capacities of monitors and evaluators in the state more if we are given the opportunity. So right now, we produce M&E reports for both state and donor agency projects quarterly. As of now, we have the third quarter report, which has been processed. The first and second quarter report is already the state ESCO. Thank you.
Okay, I want to say something about the issue of privatization. Most of the industries we are talking about that will cut across the cottage industries in the rural areas, depending on the economic advantage of each locality. Government will not actually go there to establish these industries because it's not wise. But it will make an enable environment in terms of supporting many of them. Like we have the craft, people that are dealing with crafts, raffia, cities, and all that. Government will only go there, make a kind of establish a demonstrations environment that each of them can come in form of maybe a cooperative society or whatsoever, and we partner with them and see how we can encourage them in different localities to make sure that they stand on their own.
Presently, there's a committee that my governor has set up to consider the implementation of 24-hour electricity in Akwa Ibom. And this year, the electricity situation has improved from what it used to be. That committee is headed by the essay on power supply with some directors in various sectors that has to do with electricity. So the governor is really working to see that this industrialization is really a key point in this development agenda.
Thank you, Sean.
You mentioned that the focus of your plan is industrialization. What is the plan of the state in terms of investment promotion? So bringing in investment to support this plan. That's one. Also, in your the funding plan for this plan, you had listed about 7 avenues to fund. First one was the federal allocation, then IGR. I wanted to know, one, what do you have, like, has the plan been estimated to know how much will this plan cost? And in terms of what's the ratio of these avenues to fund the plan?
In terms of the
So I was just reminding her that you haven't yet written the 30-year plan and that you are bidding for support too. All right? Yes. Okay. But you can still answer.
For the industrial promotion, the governor has set up a foreign direct investment office headed by SA on foreign investment, working with some civil servants to ensure that they bring in reliable and investors with integrity to invest in the state. Currently, they are working on the seaport, the Ibom Science Park, and other projects to bring in credible investors. Thank you.
In addition to that, the draft Akwa Ibom State draft investment policy is being considered by the state ESCO. We have a draft copy of investment policy.
Okay. Thank you.
That, as she has said and he has said too, the issue of foreign direct investment, I think last year, the Federal Ministry of Statistics rated Akwa Ibom State second after Lagos in drawing foreign direct investments to the state. So I think we are privileged in that area. And secondly, I have it on Akwa Ibom State. As you have said, we have not yet finished the 30-year plan. But already the Honorable Commissioner for Economic Development, Labor and Manpower Planning has already set out to start to form a team that will draw up a legislative plan. You know, he had been in the House of Assembly for 2 terms, so he has good idea of that. So Akwa Ibom State will be the first state in Nigeria to have a master plan, a development plan that will have a legal backing and will cut across all the MDAs in the state. And all of them will come at the same time. As the plan is ready, the laws will be ready, enacted at the same time.
Thank you.
One of the outcomes from the NDDF 2017 was that I think the roadmap, you wanted to focus on biofuel production. What effort was made in that direction by the government? And maybe any other component of the roadmap You get what effort was made to accomplish it because it's in your application.
And foreign investors have already commented, they are doing consultation. There's an area in Mbu local government that they are considering where they plant, currently they are planting cassava, and so the committee is working on that biofuel production.
What's your name, what state you're from, and the position that you occupy in your state? Or which organization you're representing here today?
Yeah. My name is John Sunday Ikbo. I am from Akwa Ibom State. I am the secretary of all palm plantation owners in Ibom Sultan. And we are really anchoring community alliance plantation in the entire state, starting from our local government, in which the paramount ruler of Ibom Sultan is the one that is really one of our patrons. I really want to compliment what my Akwa Ibomites have presented, because the state government is really encouraging private palm oil producers. We know ourselves as the smallholders, which of course you know, we represent 70% of people that produce oil in Nigeria. Right. You talk about other big companies that are selling to outside world. So what Akwa Ibom State are really doing is encouraging the establishment and effective functioning of cooperative societies. And this one in particular in Ibom Sultan is one of those that the governor is really interested, because our own aim is on palm oil and other crops like cassava, and which of course we can get biofuel from palm oil and also from cassava. So Akwa Ibom State is one of those states in Nigeria that we want to turn this economy of this state, this nation, from petroleum to agricultural products, whereby you can bring in the value chain in agriculture.
Thank you very much, Mr. John Sunday from Akwa Ibom. Second question.
Hello, my name is Kufre. I'm board director of Save the Cook Initiative. I'm actually from Akwa Ibom. There is no basic health care, even 2 or 3 miles from my community.
Which community is yours?
It's in the Ibom local government area, in Biakot precisely. I feel the industrialization people are talking about, to me, my community, it's not touchable.
If you listen very carefully, I mentioned something about health care. And I didn't want to mention, they are preparing strategic plan on health sector currently in my state. It's in draft form. It has not been approved, so I didn't want to add to the ones that have not been approved. Let them not be too many. Okay. And I'm going to find out whether your community is there in that one. Because when we are going to produce the 30-year-old plan, we are going to take input from all these strategic plans that are available. Because they were produced by the people, the grassroots people. Their inputs were there. So we are going to bring them in as input into the 30-year-old plan. So I've taken note of your community. Excellent. And that will be done. Thank
Excellent.
You. Yes, just to add, so we just established a primary health care board that was hindering this primary health care establishment. But we just established, in fact, 2 months ago, the state ESCO approved, and we have a board now that will handle primary health care in Akwa Ibom State.
Right.
So please come to Ministry of Economic Development again.
Kufre, just take his number now and take a picture as proof. Thank you so much, Akwa Ibom. Can we give them a round of applause, please? Akwa Ibom, thank you for your presentation.